Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF Hayomi Maseches GITTEN DAF Chaf Hey. We are holding on Chaf Dalad Amud Beis, 7 lines from the bottom of the Amud. Amar Rav Kulan Paislan Bekuhuna Chutz Min Harishan. So back to the Mishnah. Well, we had 4 examples of a get which was not written lishma. It wasn't written for the sake of this specific man and this specific woman. We say they're all puzzle. In case number 1 of the Mishnah, it was just a practice get, totally unconnected to divorce. That certainly doesn't work. Then we had a case where it was meant for one husband, used by the other husband. Case number 3, used for the wrong wife. Case number 4 involved Bereira. He told the Sefer, look, well, leave it up to me. I have 2 wives by the same name. Please write me a get. I'll decide later on how to apply it. Mishnah says, Pasol legarish boy, because it was not personal, it wasn't custom made and defined as per this woman. So basically you start from a very, very basic psul. The practice get a very simple, rudimentary deficiency. It's pasha that it's puzzle, right? Because it's not even sefer krisis, right? The Gemara told us yesterday. It's a very basic psul. Then, as we move on in the Mishnah, we go to greater, chidushim, lesser psul, even lesser psul, and even a lesser psul, which was case 4, because after all, it was written for him and. Ultimately, it was meant for one of these 2 women to be decided, but since it wasn't, defined initially, it doesn't work. Even that small degree of deficiency, even that small degree of lack of lishma, suffices to disqualify the get. Now, Rav is going to come tell us a chiddush. You should know, although they are really all puzzle, kulan, psulin, right? But they are still going to be paisal bekuhuna. Amarav kulan paislan bekuhuna, which means to say that it still resembles a get. It still presents as a get. It's called reyach haget. It has the reyach, the smell of a get, and therefore it affects the isha's status as per her ability to marry a kohen. She becomes a grusha to a certain extent. So Rashi brings the Gemara later of Pei Beis, which gives us presents us the basic fact of Reyach Haget. So the example there is like this. He tells the Isha, look, here's your get. Hariyat Megureshes Mimeni. Right? You're divorced from me. You're no longer married to me, but it's a limited get. V'i'at muteres l'chol adam. You can't marry anybody. In contrast to an ordinary divorcee you can go marry, you can't. So the Gemara says, although his get wasn't really too effective, but it makes her puzzle from kahuna. She can't marry a kohen. We have a pasuk there, v'isha grusha meisha. Even though she was only divorced from her husband, it was a very, limited divorce. So that part worked, but she never became mutter to others, which is typical for a grusha. Still, that limited get affects her to the extent that she can't marry a kohen. She's puzzle kahuna. Here as well says Rav. Amar Rav, Kulan, Paislan, Bekuna, all these gitten, the 4 in the Mishnah, which are considered gitten psulin, but they make her a grusha in terms of her inability to marry a kohen, chutz min harishan, except for one, the first case in the Mishnah, which was just a practice get. It's worthless. It's not even a reyach haget. It doesn't have that effect. Ushmol Amar Afri Shainami Poisel. Even case number 1 has the same effect. It's called Reyach Haget. V'Oza Shmol Atamei. Shmol follows his shita. The Amar Shmol tells us. Kol Mokem. Anywhere. Shoshanu Chachamim get puzzle. Where the Chachamim labeled the get as get puzzle. You should know it is puzzle, right? But upaisel. It does have an effect on the Isha. She's considered a grusha as per marrying a kohen. And likewise, when we have a chalitza psula, right? The husband dies and no kids, and the husband's brother fails to marry her. He does chalitza, he pulls off the shoe, right? So she pulls off his shoe, and it wasn't done properly. It's a chalitza psula for some reason. We're going to see in a minute some examples of chalitza psula. So yeah, it is psula, right? So she's not able to go marry out. She has to redo the chalitza. But upoislasa min ha'achin, you should know it has some effect. That the brothers can no longer do yibum. She's locked out of yibum. Rashi brings because it says Asher lo yivna beis achiv. Once you start the process, once you do chalitza, you can no longer turn around and do yibum. Although this chalitza isn't really a valid chalitza, but it has an effect on her. It resembles chalitza. It presents its chalitza. And that much effect it has on her that it shuts down the process. You can no longer have the yibum option. B'marava Amri, in Eretz Yisrael, they said, Mishmei Rabbi Lezer. They quoted Rabbi Lezer as follows. In terms of various chalitzos, psulos, there is somewhat of a difference between some and the others. It depends how severe the psul is. Smoil, if she pulled off his left shoe, you're supposed to do the right. She did it left. V'laylo, or it was done at night. Although it's really not good. It's psulos. It's not a chalitza kosher, but upoislis. It has the effect, as we mentioned before, because Rashi says, Shem chalitza Allah. It wasn't done by kashrus, but it is considered the chalitza process somewhat. However, katan, if the katan, then chalitza. Right? If the brother was a katan van pilya, or it was like a slipper instead of a shoe, well, that's nothing. It's a non-starter. It's psulos, they're chalitza psula, vein poisles, they don't even have any effect on her at all. Okay, now back to our Mishnah regarding the 4 types of psulin in Shalei Lishma. We have Rav who says they're all poisel b'kahuna except for case number 1. Shmuel says even case number 1. Here comes Zeiri, another 2 shitas. Zeiri Amar Kulan ein poisel chutz min ha'achron. All those psulim in the Mishnah have no effect on her as per kahuna, except for the case of Breira, the last one. Rashi says, although we don't really work with Breira, but l'chumra amrinan yesh Breira. In terms of being machmer her, affecting her kahuna status, yeah, we consider this somewhat of a get process, and she's pasal kahuna. But all the other ones, says the Iri, nothing doing. Because, in the case of the case that we mentioned before, he says, you're megurish from me, but you can't marry anybody else. Well, at least in that case, says Rashi, to a certain extent, she is fully megureshes, from him at least. Whatever she has 100%. She's totally disconnected from the husband. She can't marry anybody else, but at least there is an element of gerushin all the way. But over here, says Rashi, it was lacking in lishma. The get is a non-starter, and therefore, says the Iri, we don't reckon with it at all, except in the last case where it was lishma, and it was lishma, but it was still up in the air. Who's going to use it for? We say lechumra that we concern ourselves with breira. It's going to be verified later, and that will verify it retroactively. Although we don't allow it, we don't machshir the get, but we say there is a certain element of process that took place, of divorce that took place, and therefore she's pasal l'kahuna. V'chein amar Ravasi, kulon ein poisel chutz min ha'achron, except for the last one, none of them have any effect on her. Rabbi Yehuda Amar, he goes even a step further. Achron hamein poisel. Forget about it. Even the last one, the case of the breira, don't worry about it. She can marry a kain. Why? Ein breira. Unless it's defined, don't worry about it. You can't do something and have it be verified later on retroactively. It doesn't work. V'azda Rabbi Yechanan l'tamei. Rabbi Yechanan here is consistent with Rabbi Yechanan elsewhere. Ein breira. Where is the other Rabbi Yechanan? So we know that if one purchases land in Eretz Yisrael, come Yoivel, 50th year, it goes back to the previous owner. What about if 2 brothers inherited a field from their father and they split it? Do we say, well, this was meant to be for me and this was meant to be for you? Brothers. Yesh Beira. This was my portion, this was yours. We didn't buy it off each other. There's no buying and selling. There's no need to return it at Yovel. Because of Yesh Breira. This was meant to be for me. What does Rabbi Yehuda say? Hey, Breira. Ha'achin shachalku. Two brothers divided a piece of land that they got via Yerusha. L'kuchaysein. We treat them like they purchased it from each other. Umachzirin zil zeh b'Yovel. They have to sort of put it back and return it to each other, put it back in the pool and redivide it by Yovel. Why? Because you never know. Maybe Reuben got a part that belonged to Shimon and Shimon got a part that belonged to Reuben. They exchanged. It's like sort of a sale. They made a transaction. You never know. Maybe there's an element of Reuben's field in by Shimon and vice versa. We don't say Breira. Just because you got this and you got that, that's not a verification as to your rightful ownership of that piece. So we deal with it like a mix, and it was just divided in a way of like transaction, exchange, and that therefore it goes back to scratch during Yovel. To start over again. So bottom line, you see Rabbi Yehuda holds Ein Breira. Just like he said in our Mishnah. Case 4, which involves Breira, is worthless. We need both Rabbi Yehudas, by get and by Yovel. Di itmar baha. Because if only our case of get, baha kam Rabbi Yehuda, they Breira, perhaps over there Rabbi Yehuda says, don't worry about Breira, mishman b'inin lo lishma. Because by get, the bar is higher. The standards are higher. Torah says, because of lo lishma. When you write to get, you have to know who it's for. You can't leave it up to the unknown and verify later on. But over there by the fields, Torah says clearly, you buy a field, you give it back by Yovel. But something you inherited or you got as a gift, not. Now perhaps we can say that this was meant for me, this was meant for you. There's no Breira. We don't have to worry about me taking yours, you taking mine. And we say, yeah, Breira, this was meant for me, this was meant for you. That's not considered a sale. That's why Rabbi Yehuda has to tell us no. By the Yerusha as well, we're concerned about the sale aspect that's going on. And therefore return it kam Yovel. V'ashminan sada. Now, if only the case of the sada, Mishum de l'chumra, I would say, maybe Rabbi Yehuda is not sure whether or not we apply Breira. And over there we go l'chumra, just in case there's no Breira, and it was really a sale, because you got his and he got yours. That's why you redo the process kam Yovel. But when it comes to our Mishnah, we're a kula, because if you say Ein Breira, that means the get was worthless, was lacking in lishma, and therefore we say don't worry about the get and she's mutter l'koyin. That's a kula. Who says we're going to go l'kula? Maybe he's not sure. We go l'chumra. But if it translates into a leniency, who says inami kebatchila? Or you can say maybe really Rabbi Yehuda holds Yesh Breira, and therefore when it comes to the get, perhaps there's an element of Yesh Breira, and you would say it's considered somewhat of a kosher get concerning, let's say, considering her grusha regarding a kohen, right? But or maybe you would hold Yesh Breira and it would really be kosher. But in any case, over there's a svara that you return the fields. Why? There's a gersa ketchilas l'Eretz Yisrael, because that's the point of Yovel. Revert. Go back to the way it was before. Initially, this whole plot belonged to one person, the father. So perhaps that's the obligation. That's the chiyuv kam Yovel. Give it back. Put it back to the way it was before. Maybe really you say Breira, right? But still kam Yovel. You have to put it back in the pool, and then redivide it. But when it comes to the get, perhaps over here you can say we can allow Breira into the equation. Tzricha, that's Rabbi Yehuda tells us, what? We don't reckon with Breira at all. Not over there. That's why you have to return the fields. Because we don't know if this was yours, this was his. Maybe it was an exchange that you did. Maybe it's like a sale. So come Yevel, it goes back. And that's why Rabbi Yehuda has to tell us over here as well, by get. Ein Breira, absolutely Ein Breira, to the point that there's no resemblance of any get at all here. Nothing. It's puzzle, and she can marry a kohen, no problem. Tzricha, that's why both halachas needed to be said. Okay, on the topic of Breira. Boy minei Rav Yesha, Rav Yehuda. So Rav Yesha asked Rav Yehuda a question. Amar lelavler. So the husband walks over to the cipher with an interesting request. I want you to write a get, one get for me. He has two wives with the same name, right? Write a get, and have in mind that whichever one of my wives walks out of the door first, she's the one that the get will be given to. Mao, what would you say in this case? Do we say yesh breira? And whichever one walked out was meant for her, and it's lishma or not? Amar lei. Rabbi Yehuda responds, Tani Sua, we have a Mishnah that it doesn't work. Yasser Mikan. What's the fourth case here? Amar le Lavler. He orders the Sefer, Ksoiv, write a get for, I have two wives going by the same name, write a get, and I'll decide later on whom to give it to. Le'ezeh she'ertze egarish. What's the halacha? It's worthless. Pasal egarish boy. Almein breira. Apparently we don't apply breira. And in your case as well, which was write it for the one that walks out of the door first. So he's writing it now, and he's going to give it to the one that walks out of the door first. Ein breira. It wasn't specific, it wasn't custom made, it doesn't work. Eisivei. So now Rav Hoshea asks Rabbi Yehuda, how can you say Ein breira? Here comes a Mishnah. Mishnah Psachim. Ha'omer levarav. So it's Erev Pesach. Father is on the way up to Yerushalayim with his kids. Let's get going. Come on, Rabbi Yisai. Bizrizos. Ha'omer levarav. So he turns to his kids. Let's go. Hareini sheichet is a Pesach. I'm about to do the shechita on the Korban Pesach. Al mi sheyalim mikem rishon Yerushalayim. For the sake of every one of you sons will get to Yerushalayim first. Okay, so all running, breakneck speed. Kivish nichnas rishon. So now the father shechted the Korban Pesach with that in mind. I'm giving it to the one who's going to get in first. As soon as the first one crosses the finish line, he's zoiche. Kivish nichnas rishon, roisha b'rubai, his head and most of his body crosses the finish line, gets into Yerushalayim. That's it. He's the winner. Zocha b'chalkai. So he gets his part. Umazakas echav imoy. And all his brothers will also acquire their portions of the Korban Pesach on account of him. So he's sort of the lucky winner who divvies the Pesach to everybody else. Bottom line, we say breira. It has now been verified, binis barer, that this is the son who was zeich in the Korban Pesach. This is the one that the father did the shechita for an hour ago. The shechita took place before he won the race. At the point of shechita was unknown. It was only verified now. And when it works, Amalei, so Rav Yehuda responds, Hoshea Buri, my son Hoshea. An endearing term, my son Hoshea. Ma inim psachim etzel gittin. How can you compare Korban Pesach to get? Ha'itmar Allah. Haven't we learned that the pshat in that mission is like this? It's not to be taken, 100% literally. It's not like the father was shechting only for him. He was just trying to spur them, get them going. He's trying to bring out some zrizas. Really, he had everybody in mind. He purchased the Korban Pesach for all his sons. He did the shechita for all of them. But he was sort of like, okay, who's going to win the prize? Who's going to be the winner of the Korban Pesach? As though it's his and he's giving it to everybody else. Who's going to be the leader? Dekanami, in fact, we find in the wording of the Mishnah that that's all he meant. The Mishnah says, Kivish nichnas rishon. Once the first one made it in, rishon roisha b'rubai, zacha b'chelkoi, mazaka sechav imo, he gets his part, and because of him, everybody gets a part through him. 1 second. It's too late for them. So if we learn that really the father included everybody to the Korban Pesach, he was mimana them, he included them, he reserved a piece for everybody before the shechita, then now everybody can partake in the Korban Pesach. Eli amras delayam ninu. But if you'll tell me that it was meant to be taken literally, I'm doing the shechita only for the winner. Reuben was the winner. Okay, it says now he is taking and giving everybody else. It's too late. They needed to be part of it during the shechita. That's the halacha. You have to be a manui. You can only eat the Korban Pesach if you were reserved on the Korban Pesach b'shas shechita. Eli Amr's leim nina, but if there was no minui for the other brothers, la'achav shechita mikam mismanu. How could they come and join the Korban Pesach if the shechita? It's too late. But now the Mishnah says nimnan, you can join the Korban Pesach, or you can pull away and change reservations until when? There's a deadline. Actually, shachid until it's shechted. Apparently, it was just sort of like a ploy to get them going. Rabbi Yisai, I'm doing the shechita for the winner, and this gets everybody all energized and excited. But ultimately, he really included everybody, and everybody had a chelik, and there's no issue of breira here whatsoever. Tani Namihach, we find in the Brisa as well that it was just, to make a point. Masa, there was even a story that after the father challenged his family to make it up quickly, what happened? Who won the race? V'kidmu banis lebanim. The daughters beat the boys. V'nimtza banis zrizais. It turns out the banis were zrizais, the banim shveil, and the boys were slow pokes. Bottom line is, everybody had a chelik in the Korban Pesach. Otherwise, the Mishnah would say, the Brisa would say, they won, they lost. Everybody really were zaycha. But it was just, a statement. Look, they're the winners. Okay, so bottom line, the question was, I ask a sefer, write a get for any one of my wives, but have in mind the one that walks out of the door first. Does that work? Do we say breira? Can you verify later on? She said, no. I brought right from the Mishnah. Fourth and last case in the Mishnah, where we see breira doesn't work. What's the case there? He orders the sefer to write a get. I'll decide which one to use it for. It doesn't work. And then he asked him a question. What do you mean? You find by the Korban Pesach, where he left it up to them, whoever makes it in first wins. We say, yesh breira. All right, that was the back and forth. Rabbi, I don't understand this whole discussion. The question, the raya, then the kasha. The initial question was, can one ask a sefer to write a get and have in mind the one that walks out the door first? That's called toileb das acherim. It's not up to him. It's an unknown equation, an unknown factor, which is going to be, verified later on. It's toileb das acherim. It's telling the people walking out the door. So, perhaps that's better than something which is dependent upon my future decision, which has not yet been confirmed until later. Because if I'm toileb b'das achim, I'm pretty much committing myself. Look, I'm committed. Whoever works out first, that's done. I'm committed. His response to that question was, right? His question was, does it work or not? And his response was from our Mishnah, toileb b'das atzma. He brought him a right from the case in the Mishnah where he asks a sefer, write a get, and I'll decide which isha to be megarish. That's toileb b'das atzma. It's up to himself. There's a lack of conclusion there. I still have to decide. I have to determine. I have to make that decision. Perhaps that's worse. That's really hanging in the air. It's an unconcluded process. So perhaps that's worse than the case of Leizer Shetetzim and Pesach Tchila, which is totally out of his hands and he's totally committed to the process, whatever happens. Now, when he responded from the Mishnah, what was the kasha back from Korban Pesach, which again is an example which doesn't match. He's bringing a right from the boys who are running up. That's not up to his father. It's totally unknown. It's totally out of his hands. So maybe that does work. So what was his kasha from there? That's even better. So what's the back and forth? Rava, my kusha, I don't understand, says Rava. Dilma, perhaps. There's no differentiation. The fact is, there's an element of breira in either case, and if it works all the time. If it doesn't work, it never works. Dilma demand the isle breira, the shita that holds up breira. Well, it's not toileb b'das atzma. It doesn't matter whether it's in his hands, he's in control. Well, it's not toileb b'das sacher, or in a case where he's not in control. Isle breira, we do say breira according to this opinion. Oma the lesle breira, whereas the other shita does not hold up breira, holds never. Lo it's not toileb b'das atzma. Well, it's not toileb b'das sacher, whether he's in control or not. Lesle breira, he does not subscribe to breira. So basically, Rava is sort of doing away with this theory of differentiating between something that's in your control, something that's not in control. Ultimately, it's not defined, it's not verified, it's not concluded. The breira system must apply. So either you hold a breira all the time, or you never hold a breira. Rava, 1 second. There's no difference. Sure, there's a difference between das atzma and das achir. But Rabbi Yehuda, let's take a look at Rabbi Yehuda the Tana. He holds a breira in one and not in the other. The toilo b'das atzmei lesle breira, concerning something which is in your hands, in your control. He doesn't hold a breira because it's not yet finished and defined. But v'toilo b'das acherim is le breira, whereas something which is out of his control and he's committed to the process regardless, breira will work. Wait for the process to run its course. How do we know that? Toilo b'das atzmei lesle breira is something which is in his control. Rabbi Yehuda does not hold a breira. This is Nanya. A person purchased wine from the kusim. He has to take off trumas and masros. He doesn't have a kli to do it now. He wants to drink. He can make sort of a pending hafrasha trumas and masros. He'll say like this: the 2 lug out of the 100 that I'm going to, separate tomorrow. Hari hein truma. That's going to be the truma gedola. Asara, the 10 that I'm going to separate tomorrow. Maserishan. The 9 of the remaining is going to be maser tisha, maser sheni. And then, although he's not really separating the truma and the maserishan, but at least when it comes to maser sheni, explains Rashi, let him finish the process of meichel. He'll be machalal. He'll transfer the kedusha from here to the coins he has at home. B'shois biyad, and he can sit down and have his drink. David Rabbi Meir, because of breira. Why does breira apply? Because it's not yet defined. He hasn't really specified which wine is going to be the truma. He's going to figure it out tomorrow. And you're letting him drink now based on this unfinished business. Because whatever he does tomorrow will have been verified as the truma today. That's Rabbi Meir. But Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon Eisron, they say nothing doing. You can't do this. The Gemara is assuming because they don't hold a breira. Until you separate, until you verify, you have nothing. And this is toilo b'das atzmai, because he himself is going to do it. So it's unfinished business, it doesn't work. But when it comes to toilo b'das acherim, islay breira, something which is not in his control and is committed to a process which is out of his hands, you can do that. You can initiate a process and consider it sort of done, even though it's still pending. This none, as we find in the Mishnah in Gittin. A fellow issued a get to his wife. He was deathly ill. He says, look, this is your get me'achshav, starting from today, if he dies from this specific illness. And he died from that illness. We say it's a get. We don't say the get was activated after his death. No, it was activated retroactively from the point of issuing, even though it was dependent upon him succumbing to that illness. And we find that Rabbi Yehuda agrees with that, even though there's a breira element there. But the reason is because it's not in his hands. It's Talin Hashem. Rashi says, it's Talin B'das Hashem, Misha Moisei V'chayav Tluim B'yadai, in the hands of Hashem, who's in control of all life. So since the husband's committed to that process, it's a get pending such and such, which is not in his hands, it works retroactively. And we find that Rabbi Yehuda agrees. We find that Rabbi Yehuda, contributes to that halacha. Apparently he agrees with it. It's not mahi ba'is yamim. How do we treat her in between now and the moment of Misa? Rabbi Yehuda, she's considered a fully married woman. If she's married to a kohen, now she can have his truma, etc. But bottom line is, Rabbi Yehuda is participating, is taking part in that discussion. Apparently he agrees with that Mishnah that it works. So ultimately, when he passes away from this specific illness, the get is triggered, but retroactively from the moment of issuing, even though it was still pending further development. So we see that Tolu B'das Acherim works. Amalei Rav Misharshi l'Rabba. Misharshi asks Rabbi the same thing. I'll find that Rav Shimon differentiates between one type of breira and the other. Harab Shimon, the Tolu B'das Atzmei Leslie breira. When it comes to something that's in his control and it's still pending, we don't say breira, such in the case of the Truma and the Maser, right? He said he can't do it with the wine. But with Tolu B'das Acherim isli breira. But if it's out of his control and he's committed to that process, regardless, we say breira. We can verify later and have it applied retroactively. Tolu B'das Atzmei Leslie breira. He doesn't know the breira of it's totally in him. Hadamar, as we just said in the case of the wine, Rabbi Shimon disagrees with the heter of Rabbi Meir. But when it comes to Tolu B'das Acherim, something which is dependent upon others' decisions, isli breira. We agree with breira. The son, you have a braysa, reini ba'alayach. Al-manashi yitzab. A person gets involved with an isha as married. L'shem kiddushin, Rashi says, because you can kaddish isha in that manner. But he says, look, on condition that my father will confirm this marriage. We'll agree with it. Ava b'shaloi rotza av mekudesh. Even the father wasn't agreeable. It's mekudesh, Rashi says, because we assume his interaction as married with this woman was done regardless of his father's coming along with the process. Bottom line is, Reb Shimon, when Yehuda, Reb Shimon, we quote Reb Shimon now, who says, well, no. You have to ask the father if he's okay with this shidduch. Ratza of, if father consents, Mekudeshes, then this masa is considered a masa kedushin, but if he's not interested in this marriage, ain't Mekudeshes. So even though he interacted with her as married, he did a masa, it doesn't matter, because the condition was not fulfilled. There you go. So you see that we do apply the Breira process according to Reb Shimon, apparently, because this is different. This is Teila B'das Acherim. It was dependent upon other people and their interests and their decisions. And you can do that. Hamalei. So Rava responds, no, Bein Rabbi Yehuda, Bein Reb Shimon, Lo Yishna Teila B'das Atzmai, Lo Yishna Teila B'das Acherim. You know, even Rabbi Yehuda or Reb Shimon would apply Breira, whether it's something in his hands, something out of his hands, Islu Breira. They hold a Breira. Question, V'hasam, what about the case of the wine? They both disagree with Reb Meir. Apparently, they don't hold a Breira. No, it's a totally different reason. Because Tani Tama. Look at that Mishnah, that Brisa. They turn to Reb Meir, look, how could you do this? Don't you agree with us? Suppose, the container with wine breaks apart tomorrow. And there's no wine left for the truma and the master. So you never actually, actualize the process. He never took the truma. So ultimately, it turns out that this fellow was drinking tevel. Even you agree it only works if eventually he carries out his wishes. But let's say it never comes to it, because the wine disappeared. So let's be concerned with that possibility. So they're not arguing in principle. In concept, they agree you can do this Breira process, but you never know. Don't take a chance. The wine might disappear. It might never come to fruition. Rameh responds, okay, worry about it then. Container breaks, worry about it then. Make sure it doesn't break. Have somebody watch it. It's not shechiach, says Rashi, that it should happen. So it's just a side point, a technical discussion. But in terms of the ability to apply Breira to a process, perhaps, as Rabbi, everybody agrees with Breira all throughout. Bottom line, we have 3 cases of Shloi Lishma in the Mishnah. They can't be used for divorce, but are they considered somewhat of a get regarding making her puzzle for a kohen? We have 4 shittos. All 4 cases yes, all 4 cases no. All 4 cases yes except for the first case, all 4 cases no except for the last case. So 4 shittos there. We had a question regarding a Breira with the woman walking out of the door first. He said that doesn't work. He asked the Makasha from Karban Pesach. Well, Pesach wasn't technically a type of Breira. It was just to get them going. It was just like sort of a challenge, a symbolic gesture, but it wasn't really literally a case of Breira. And then Abaye says, what do you mean? Why are we even connecting these 2 cases? There is Teila B'das Atzmai, which is worse than Teila B'das Acherim. And Rava responds by saying, it's all one and the same. All the best to you, and Hatzlacha, Rava.